Hi, this is Glenn Loury. This clip is taken from a conversation I recently posted at my Patreon page. The full episode will be available for free in a few days, but if you want to see it now and support the show, please go to patreon.com/Glenn Show. That's patreon.com/Glenn Show. Thanks.
The way we are encouraged to think about sociology is as if it's all very easy. We know that math and astrophysics are hard, but when it comes to thinking about society, we're supposed to settle for platitudes and call somebody a moral pervert.
I think you're selling sociology short. I don't think that's how they think about themselves.
Oh, they don't think about themselves that way.
I think they think society is complicated and that there are processes and structures and whatnot that you can, I guess we should probably be concrete and, talk about particular examples. But here are some of the sociologists that I have learned from: Peter Berger's The Social Construction of Reality, Berger and Luckman. Irving Goffman, The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, Stigma. This is Irving Goffman. Robert Merton, self-confirming prophecies, and
never actually read him, but
things of this kind. Orlando Patterson would be a person I think would be on my list. He definitely.
But yet, Glenn, the problem is, you're talking about all of these excellent people. These are people I was introduced to reading sociology. Despite what I said about sociology and the GREs, and I'm sorry, but that's just going to have to stand because it was a fact. I'm talking less about academic sociology than the way we are encouraged to think about sociology and what academics let pass as sociology. So, for example, Ibram Kendi going all around the country preaching to people that
disparity. Is he a professor of sociology?
Racism.
Is he a professor of sociology at Boston University?
He's one of the first major.
I thought it was Black Studies.
African-American studies. But he's saying that thing. That is a sociological insight, and it's junk. And yet, all of these academics are standing there in their suits, listening to him say that to their undergraduates in particular, and no one calls him on it, and therefore he genuinely doesn't know that what he's saying is nonsense and underthought. Nobody even tells him. And so that's what I mean. We allow that. Nobody could get up and purvey junk astrophysics or junk French grammar or junk literary analysis all over the country and be celebrated. That's only allowed when it's about societal insights. And I think that we need to get beyond that. Imagine if we were like France, where to be a public sociologist of any kind, you have to be as sharp as Lionel Trilling was. That's something that we miss here in the United States. It's an interesting phenomenon, and that's part of what I think frustrates you and me about who gets to say what out there in public.
I'm not worried about it, John. I think it's all going to sort itself out in the end. I think puffery is puffery and substance is substance. I think we just have to stick to our knitting and stay healthy.
By the way, while we're on Professor Kendi, I want to slip something in here because he called me a racist. He called me a racist online.
You say that again? You were called a racist by Ibram X Kendi?
Yeah, 3 names. He
probably thinks you should be flattered that he deigned to call you racist. In fact, he acknowledged that you exist and then deigned to call you a racist.
Oh, he had deigned that I existed in his stamped from the beginning, which I didn't say anything about. And somebody asked him a question and he said that I have racist ideas. Now, I said on Twitter that I was not going to entertain that comment. And I'm not going to defend whether or not I'm a racist. But you know what? That was not necessary. And if he is allowed to call me a racist,
you want to step outside and settle it like this?
Metaphorically, young people are going to see that. Him with his dreadlocks calling me a racist, and they're going to think that it's actually true. Okay, I'm going to say something about him. Ibram Kendi has been on Twitter saying that if anybody disagrees with him, get this, if anybody disagrees with him, it's not that they have a legitimate disagreement. It's that they couldn't find anything to disagree with genuinely in his ideas. And so they make something up to put out there that he said, and that therefore he takes it as a compliment when anybody criticizes him, because he genuinely believes that he could never be wrong. So if somebody has a problem with his stuff, Coleman writing his article about how to be an anti-racist, I suppose Me Too, we actually understand that his ideas are coherent. But we have to have something mean to say, because I guess we're not nice people. And so, as a result, we make up something that he said and we jump all over that. And so he takes it as a compliment that he's criticized. You know what?
What would be a specific example of that? Excuse me. I'm just trying to make sure I understand the argument.
In general,
what's an example of something that he says that you construe in such a way as to intentionally misstate it, whatever?
In general, he has this kind of dichotomous idea that either one is an anti-racist or a racist. You can't be just not terribly committed to the whole paradigm. If you're not terribly committed, you are still a racist.
Does he try to establish that? I didn't read the book. Does he try to show you that that's true, that you have this dichotomy, or does he just assert it?
He asserts it and then maybe spends, a certain amount of time exploring it, but not in a way that either one of us would consider exploration.
Okay.
And frankly, it doesn't work. It's simplistic. He just puts it out there. And he's been called on that many times. Interesting is reading Kelefa Sanneh, who did a piece on him in the New Yorker. And Kelefa's heart is in the Black left place, but even Kelefa got that this stuff was a little Manichaean. But this is the point. If Kendi really doesn't understand that the nature of ideas is such that if someone disagrees with you, it may be that they understand you completely and they still don't agree. If he doesn't get that, at best, he is extremely inexperienced in the nature of dealing with ideas and argument. For somebody with a PhD, that's somebody with a doctorate. At worst, if he really does think that he's come up with something that is that sacrosanct and that anybody who's criticizing him is just being a jerk, then I think that he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So if I'm a racist,
I got to make the case for Ibram X Kendi here, and
let me finish. One other thing, though, Glenn.
Okay.
One other thing. A little nuance here. He said, I have racist ideas. So he might say, well, I didn't call him a racist. I said he had racist ideas. Well, then I'm going to nuance it. He has dumb ideas. And I've been holding off on saying that for about 6 months. But frankly, John, I don't think he is the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree.
And that's signifying now. You're signifying, it's like talking about somebody's mama.
No,
what I was going to say was Stamped from the Beginning was an award-winning book, and I don't know what did it win. Did it win a Pulitzer? It won something.
Won something. The National
Book Award. Yeah. Norway. That's his first big book, and it's a history of the stigmatization and exclusion of African Americans, graphically rendered in a way that had a big cachet. Mm-hmm. My wife LaJuan has a copy of that book,
mm-hmm.
And I never read it.
Me either.
How to Be an Anti-Racist has had huge success. And I mean, doesn't he have like a $10 or $20 million endowed research center at BU? I'm pretty sure that one of the tech companies dumped a whole bunch of money on him. I used to teach at BU. I still know a few people there, although it's been many years since I've been there. And he's this iconic figure. Now, you just called him a lightweight. You said he's dumb. John.
I don't find him brilliant. If you're going to call me a racist, I am going to say that, because I also get the feeling that many other people feel the same way, but they don't feel comfortable saying it out loud. I think he is a preacher walking around promulgating undercooked, simplistic ideas.
Is he a MacArthur Prize fellow?
And he's never called on it. And you and I both know, as far as the MacArthur and the National Book Award, et cetera, that there's a massive bias among the people who give those awards towards assuaging their white guilt, or if they are a Black person, participating in making white people feel guilty. And so, to be perfectly honest, I'm not saying that Stamped from the Beginning is a bad book, but the kinds of awards that he's getting cannot be taken as indicating that what I just said is not true. And frankly, Glenn, if you read How to Be an Anti-Racist, you would agree with me. It is a very simplistic book. I know that what I said about Kendi may sound a little harsh, but
it's very harsh, John. It's rude. And as a matter of fact, it's rude.
But no, not if you're going to call me a bigot in such a public venue when I didn't do anything to deserve it. That's it. I'm sorry. That's just not nice. And so I'm going to be not nice back. Why do you think
you're saying he's an empty suit, John? Let's get graphic. You're saying he's vastly overrated. You're saying
I am saying that.
He's a joke. You're saying he's a joke.
No, I didn't say it was a joke,
Well, he's stupid.
but I didn't say he was stupid,
I
but
thought you did.
I do not find him to be engaging in feats of any kind of cleverness. I think it's vastly oversimplified, his ideas. They don't strike me as academic. It surprises me that he has a PhD. And I think that he's never called on it. And it is a little bit disturbing because people are looking to him as some kind of guru. And he's an example of what I mean in that he is having these sociological insights distributed out there that are not based on what an academic would think of as scholarly rigor, and which even non-academics can see through, but are told that they're missing something or are moral perverts if they question. I don't think that's good for society. I don't care how much money he makes. I don't think that speaks well for our general intellectual and moral culture. That doesn't bother you at all?
Why can't we let 1,000 flowers bloom, and instead of us spending our time running down Ibram X Kendi, whose books I haven't read and am unlikely to do so, we might just write our own books.
Ultimately, that is what I will be doing. But I decided I was going to take the gloves off for those 10 minutes, and I did. There are times when you're just supposed to roll with punches like that, but I'm getting a little tired of rolling with punches like that. And so, yeah, I decided to speak my truth on that. And if you read Kendi's work, I'm quite sure that you would feel the same way. Not that he's dumb, not that he's stupid, not that he's an empty suit. Stamped from the Beginning was not written by an empty suit.
Okay, he's modifying his position, everybody.
But I do think that his basic ideas that are getting around are not sound thinking. And I think that he should be called on it. To not call him on it is to be racist. I watched him in a public forum say, so like that thing that only white people can write books about racism. Glenn, do you know that thing? I cannot identify that thing since roughly the 17th century. There's never been a time when.
Like I say, man, I'm not paying any attention to this stuff because I think it's racism. All hoax.
He said that, and the audience goes, "Oh yeah, that's right." That's not true at all. A public intellectual is
they're acting out a ritualistic thing, man. It's a coon show. It's a minstrel show.
It's church is what it is, and so that is what I am calling out here. That we are not requiring enough.
It's the modern day equivalent of Amos and Andy, and it is so insulting to Black people to not take us sufficiently seriously, and to it's the easiest path for the structures that be, for editorial boards, for prize commissions, for university faculties, for newspaper op-ed writers, for the easiest path for TV talking heads is to patronize and placate these screaming Black people who are going around crying about racism. How about this? The whole vocation of public intellectual is somehow wrongly construed here, such that people like Ibram X Kendi could be as lionized and successful practitioners of that function. Here's what it should be. You should be a master of some discipline. You should be an economist of the first rank.
Yes.
You should be a linguist who has a very good publication record in refereed journals with a lot of citations. You should be a physicist who has actually mastered physics, or a literary critic who's read the great books and written a few of them, who then take this mastery that you have acquired through decades of disciplined study and turn your attention, informed by it, to the great questions of the day. Your essay should appear in the New York Review of Books the way the New York Review of Books used to be. Okay? And only then should you be anointed a public intellectual. Okay? It's quote unquote worth listening to, worth $10 million or $20 million falling on your center, worth being lionized and awarded and said to be the next whatever. Only then. You ought to have fucking done something. You ought to have command of a height from which you can survey. Here's the deal. He's a lightweight, John. He's a lightweight. That's the deal. Where is the erudition? Where is the subtle interpretation of a canonical text? Where is the sustained argument? Where's the insight? Where's the mastery? He's a lightweight.